Cavecast, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds.
We have the absolute pleasure tonight of being able to sit with the one and the only Riker Road mom. Wave to your camera, mom, over there. Say hi.
There it is.
Yeah. And tonight we really wanted to do this for a multitude of reasons. Is that number one, what we really want from the show is to be able to have a conversation between three people. There's a technical side of this, but also you've really just kind of become the internet mom. Like, I mean, just through the reaction channel and stuff. Like, it's
reaching a bit.
It's no, it's on. No, I would
show.
I honestly, I think that there's never a time that when we don't like jump into a live or something that someone's like, oh man, Mama Riker's here, like whatever, like. People have just really accepted you and just been like, man, like they see something in you and people have said really nice things of just like, wow, like, you know, it's cool to see, you know,
give it time.
Right. The true colors will come out.
Yeah.
But no, it's just, man, it's been such a cool thing. Like, what is that like? I mean, because you kind of came into the reaction where it was like, all right, this kind of sounds fun or this or that. So like, what was it like for you to be on the show for the first time and then wait for that like reception of the comments to come in? Because you kind of had like a very interesting recording night where it was like you were kind of learning, you know, the lay of the land, like, you know, how it worked and everything. Like, what was that like for you?
It was scary as hell. It was nerve wracking. I was nervous because it's Eric's channel. I thought, I'm going to take down Riker Road in 22 minutes. It's going to be a smoking crater right here. And I just remember I was trying not to talk a lot. I was trying not to move a lot. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so, but after my third glass of apple juice, I think, and we heard Jelly Roll was first.
Yes,
right?
only. Yeah.
Which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I just adore him. And I remember I was pleasantly surprised by Eminem.
Which, guys, that is huge. That is huge.
I appreciated that. So
I also started you with a little bit of a lesser, harsh, whatever made up words I can throw at you right now. As far as a song for Eminem.
What was that? Beautiful?
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that was very much like pulling back a little bit from what M does.
Yeah. But I was happy about that because I remember just thinking, okay, you can do this, Sherry. Like, you know, but you guys then threw Falling in Reverse at me.
And that was alone, right?
That was
correct. Okay, because I can remember if that was the first recording we did or if that was the second.
No, it was the first one.
Okay,
yep.
Yeah.
Apparently that's the one everybody wanted to see me do.
Yeah.
So
and that's when I forgot she was there, remember?
Yeah. That was the very first time I think I ever heard you say fuck you. And by the way, rightfully so.
Dude, no, that was not the first time I've heard her say that to me. Ever.
Not at all.
Not even close, bro.
Not even close. No.
So out of that experience, I mean, you've had a very interesting view of this channel that not only have you been on it, but you've also been able to take in, you know, all these different types of music that maybe you wouldn't normally, or like it wouldn't even be on your radar. Like, I'm curious as to like, you know, how, like, what is your music life now? Like after the fact of like, since you've been on the show, you've been keeping up and the stuff that you watch or don't watch, like what's your music life like right now?
Oh, I don't know. Better.
Oh, really?
I truly, and you know, your dad and I were just talking about this and the fact that I love the music I grew up with, and I love, you know, I love my 80s, I love my journey, and I love all of that stuff. It just, you know, but, you know, I get bored. I get bored with the same stuff, and I was hearing, you know, the same stuff all the time. I'm not a big radio listener. So
Me
I don't,
either.
You know,
same.
I don't know why. I just don't. But you guys gave me a whole new appreciation for what is new. I can, even for genres that I can't say that I care for all of them, but I know I've said before that listening to something with the headphones on is just it's a whole new world in here.
Yeah.
And I can't even stand the sound of my own voice.
You sound great. Don't worry.
But you know, I think I'm hearing it correctly. And it makes me, it makes me see what I've been missing.
Yeah.
And I have, my playlist is like, it's just, oh gosh, I've got Boz Scaggs and I've got Theory of a Dead Man. They're like one of my new favorites.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Theory
Yeah.
of a
Hell
Dead
yeah.
Man, that Bad Girlfriend. Mhm.
Yeah.
She's a bitch.
Yeah, mom can throw down. Yeah.
And,
Well, mom said something very interesting where she was like, I've heard this stuff, over and over and over again. Alan and I were talking one day at work. This was a couple years ago. And he said something like that, where it's like, dude, I don't want to throw on, like 106.5 or whatever it is. He's like, I've heard AC/DC's, Hell's Bells and all this stuff 100,000 times.
yeah.
Give me something new.
Give me something new. So yeah, I do want to listen to 88.1 just because Forgot About Dre's on again. Well, I've only heard that 8,000 times. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's the fact that like it does get old.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks, because like finding new people to listen to, I think like mom was saying, like you do open up that world, and like now you have, so many things like she said, you've been missing, and I didn't know I was missing too. So like, that's very interesting that we both have the same, I guess, kind of view on the music. Like we don't listen to the radio a whole lot. And now we found all these genres. We're like, wow, why didn't I pay attention to this? Because I have so much to listen to.
And if I am listening to the radio, I gravitate to what is classic rock.
Right.
Classic rock is what I know.
Bro, classic rock now is like Nickelback. Are you fucking shitting me?
Yeah, don't go to the grocery store. You'll cry.
No,
That's what they play.
Yeah. Like classic rock now is, buddy, the shit we listen to. Like not even like mom stuff, like the shit we listen to.
I mean,
Mom stuff.
So like,
I don't think Kyle's okay over there.
Just like, it's like, it was kind
Mom's
of
is like oldies, not like seriously.
well, what's interesting was
I
like,
got really hype about that.
It's this weird thing that happens where I won't divulge the names here, but I was over at a friend's place and their younger sibling was in the room while we were talking. And I think we were watching something that there was like some guy on a motorcycle that was looking really cool. And I'm like, yeah, man, he's got that cool swag. He's got that coolness to him, like the Fonz. And I heard these words put together in the English language. I had never heard it before. And this kid looked at me and went, who's the Fonz?
Oh, right in the heart.
And I remember having this moment of realizing that I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, at that point I was like 27 or something like that. So it's like, I started to kind of realize it then, but again, like since we don't listen to the radio, I never would have known that it's like classic, like our classic rock or the things that we listen to and stuff. It is considered to be very old. Like 1980 isn't 20 years ago. It's 40 or it's that or whatever.
Fuck off.
I mean that with the utmost respect.
He didn't say World War II, Eric. He said,
Jesus.
It's just, it's interesting to me. I think that it's, having that, mortality check, but in the same hand too, is that you're like, you've talked about it before, Mom, like whenever you've watched different reactors, like, people that are discovering Queen for the first time or people that are hearing, stuff where I think we've talked about it either on the podcast or the reaction channel, where it's like when somebody new takes in something that we've grown up with and that we've just, grown close to and we adore.
and we've taken for granted.
Right. It's like in 30 years later, this person is listening to this song for the first time and it still nails it the way that it nailed our minds. Like, it's just, there's something so cool about that.
When I see somebody hear Journey for the first time, Steve Perry's voice, or Boston for the first time, those people people don't know something like that existed in this world, because it was just such raw, just guts and guitar and real vocals.
Just talent.
You just had to be fucking talented.
Yeah, for sure.
To do that. And I see somebody have an attack over listening to that one cool song, and I get almost jealous. Because man, they're hearing that for the first time.
Yep.
If you could erase your memory and do that again. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of times why I do it. It's and it makes me appreciate what I grew up with more. And yet you guys on Riker Road make me appreciate now what I didn't know either.
Right.
So
yeah, it's wild.
It's
so
cool.
I mean, with all that, you know, it's the fact of like growing up listening to what you listen to and what I listen to now is very different, very, very different. But the thing is that I think the taste and everything that I have is still there. It's just in a different genre. I don't put a filler stuff. Get it out of here. Like, I don't like fluff rap. You didn't like bullshit rock. I mean, I'm sure there was a couple things that were like, oh, kind of like a mumble rap for me or whatever, where it's like, you know, it's your guilty pleasure. But I think that was just instilled in me in every angle, where the music that I grew up listening to and the music I listen to now has a similarity to me. And it's because, well, we've said it before, it's the people who influenced us on music.
Yes.
And Mom was a big one. Aunt Heidi was a big one. Your biological father was a big one.
Yeah.
But again, then we kind of took off on our own, you know, friends and, you know, all this stuff. And then, like you said, you found Slipknot. I found Tupac and NWA and, you know, Two Live Crew.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens, but dude, I would never take it back. And the thing is that Mom being so open to some of this new stuff is really cool, because it's like, bro, it's like, it's cool. Almost one of those like, Mom, I was trying, see see how cool this is. Like, you know, and that's the thing is that she didn't see, she wasn't paying attention to that. And it's not her fault. It's just the fact of, we grew up in a time that the music that we listened to was fucking bad news. And it was all over the news, and people are gonna, you know, unalive people and all this stuff. No, it's just, but that's what we had. And, you know, Mom was just looking out for us because she's a mom. She was trying to do the right thing. Well, so, yeah.
What's interesting is that, you know, we've talked about it before. I don't know if you were in the room or not, but I mean, just to put it out there online, is that I think it's an interesting perspective, because think about it. If I was 12 years old or 9 or whatever, like younger, and you walked into the room and saw a picture of Tom MacDonald and what he looks like, a tatted up dude with, like, you know, his head shaved and everything like that, you at that point would look at it and go, get that off the wall.
Probably.
She
would have, yeah.
And it's probably. And I think that what it is that I don't know if there's like a true answer to it, but I almost wonder if it's like this culture thing where it's like, yeah, you were being the good mom at that point, and, you know, we were also raised in a Christian home, and, like, you know, there was, you know, maybe other guidelines for things in the house that wouldn't be there for maybe a normal American kid. Sure. You know, so, like, just because of following that. But what's so impressive to me is that you've actually said that Tom MacDonald is one of your favorites. Like you're the one that will text us and be like, oh my gosh, this just dropped. And it's like, yeah, we can't watch it yet, but, you know, so, but
we'll see it in 12 hours.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I so badly want to react to those new songs with you. And I'm like, I already heard it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you just can't. Yeah.
I can't, you know, you know, he's just fearless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he's not rapping, or I'm sorry, when he's not singing, when he's not doing a song, and I just hear him talk the little videos he makes, you know, like his sense of humor, you know, his positive outlook.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a man that's been through so much.
Right.
And I'm sure that he just appreciates his life.
Oh, yeah.
So much more than he ever thought he could.
Right.
Well, you know, the thing is that you saying that now because of, you know, you kind of knowing him a little bit as far as like his music and, you know, maybe some of his Instagrams or whatever. But like Kyle was saying, if you wouldn't have paid attention to any of that, let's go back 20 years, hell, 25 years. Like he said, if that would have been on, and all you heard was just the noise and then saw the poster, you wouldn't have had it. But it's one of those where he is somebody that even back then it would be like, no, Mom, listen.
Right.
No, listen for a second. Like, I couldn't do that with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, she wouldn't have understood it anyways. And second of all, they really weren't singing the same thing that Tom was.
Yeah.
But I get what you were saying, Kyle, and the fact of, it's just that, you know, how she saw things, because we didn't take the time either to try to explain it to her or have her listen to it. But I think it's really cool that now Mom is like you said, she's like, oh, have you heard it? No, no, we haven't.
It's what's funny is I sometimes look at it in the mentality of like when I get those messages where it's like I feel like it's either Sammy or Luke messaging me where it's like, no, dude, I haven't seen it. I'm like, no, this is my mom. I'm like, and she's all about it. And it's just that's really what's been the coolest thing, I think, being able to see the shift and change in your taste in music. It's been very different. I would say that, the big catalyst is, the reaction channel, at least to give you that trampoline to like bounce off of and then decide where you want to land. It's interesting how that, influenced you, so yeah. I
absolutely agree. I think without what you guys have built, I wouldn't be here at that. I wouldn't be at that level at all with it. And I also think that rap has evolved.
Oh yeah.
So to just become so much better. Because that isn't what you were listening to back then.
Because that wasn't what was out.
No, that isn't. Yeah. It's not even the same.
Right.
And I also I thought about this the other day, because I know that you shared before that because I was raised in a home with barbershop music. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people probably don't know what that is, but
we do.
It's 4-part harmony with no accompaniment. You're just singing.
And that was you, Grandma, and who were the other two that were with you?
And Roberta and Kathy. Mm-hmm. And plus, when I was younger, I was in a chorus, a women's chorus.
Because isn't it a barbershop is men and a quartet is women?
Well, no, quartet is 4 people singing, can be men or women, but Sweet Adelines are women.
That's what it is. Yeah. Okay.
And but I think I know now that the type of like even 80s music, rock music, when Queen came along, man, I was all over that.
Well, yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what? And I think being spoiled with good, tight harmony music, whether it was I think it made me kind of a music snob almost in a way, because I was picky about what I was listening to.
Me too.
I wasn't just listening to everything. If I bought an album, it had something good on it.
Right.
And they were singing, I just think that that's the quality of what I wanted to hear. But your Aunt Heidi opened up a lot of music to me too that I wasn't too aware of. So she showed me Rod Stewart.
Oh, really?
She showed me, like a lot of hell. She showed me Collective Soul.
I could see that.
With mom touching on, I know that this first half is just us talking about like music and Riker Road, but going back to like the whole barbershop and the quartets and things, and like mom talking about like, that's what, with Queen and like the tightness and the sound and everything. Yeah. I think it's one of those where like we both still had that instilled in us as well. So again, Bone Thugs and Harmony, there's a reason I felt like it was immediate. And it was because it sounded similar to like what mom, grandma, and grandpa did.
Yeah.
But they were rappers and they were and they had this weird spin. And then I also think it leaked into the fact of why I like R&B music so much as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I have this weird shift where like I like my hardcore gangster rap, but like give me a sex song, like like give me some Marvin Gaye, give me some like I even like the blues, like it's just like it sounds, because I think it almost gives that like it's like in the quartets and things in barbershops, like you have your basses and tenors and all that, like you can hear it because that one person is sticking to their one sole job. So when it comes to like jazz music, when they're over there playing, like you could hear the individual instruments.
Yes.
But they're all working together. And so I think just over time, like mom, it kind of did the same thing with my music taste. You tend to stick with certain things because it's got to be good.
Yeah.
Like mom said, spoiled her, spoiled me. Like everybody's tight. I think that's also why I liked Michael Jackson so much. Oh, yes. He was a perfectionist, but he wasn't an asshole. Everything just went in line, whether it was his vocals or his visuals.
Now, I mean, I think I would actually argue that Michael's like, way on set, like whenever like you and I were watching the music video for Thriller, it's like, 'cause it was Halloween time. We threw it on. We watched
with the
whole
line
thing.
underneath.
And it's the idea that when all of them jump, they are in a perfect line.
Correct.
And
You can
I think
draw a
it's
straight line.
It's like, dude, like I think that could be a moment that Michael would have been looking at the monitor, saw the replay, and he wouldn't have been like, God damn it, guys, no. He would look at it and go, we can do better.
Yep, we need to do it again.
Do it again. And it's like, that is the level of excellence that is in his music. And I think across the board with like people that, care about stuff. I mean, even NF, like, him doing his music videos and things like that. Like, he talks about, it was in like the behind the scenes of the Motto video, but him being like, yeah, it's 12 hours of work, but we may only, 6 hours of work, but we may only get like, 12 seconds, but that's the 12 seconds that we needed. And it's like, he's such a perfectionist, but it's like, that he's going about it in the right way because he has a bigger vision of what he wants to accomplish.
For sure.
And it's just, it's wild to me.
Well, and the end result reflects that.
Yeah.
So, that's just, the perfection is so easy to spot in that regard. I don't like every single thing Michael Jackson ever did.
Same.
But
Right.
I'm smart enough to see that what he did was the real deal.
Right.
And, the Osmonds.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I grew up, the Osmonds were big. The Jackson 5 were big.
Yeah.
And Michael Jackson was just a kid. And so what I learned over the years of, Donny Osmond was my first boyfriend. So
As his right. Say that 10 times fast.
But when you see some stories about the Osmonds and as a family, when they performed, it had to be perfect. That was, they're just, and somebody said, one of them said, that's why we're the one take Osmonds.
Okay.
And Donnie was just coming into this like full blown, and he says, we are. And he's like, and because it was like, do it again. That's why we're the one take Osmonds. And so, that just, I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you watch them, old videos of them, even as they got older, those men are 70 years old and can still move like they did back then because they did it in their sleep.
Yeah.
I swear.
Well, it was the same with Michael. Same with him. But no, I think I was just thinking about that. I think probably top 3 favorite people that I was shown by like Mom and Aunt Heidi would be Michael Jackson, the Eagles, and Queen. Those, I think if I had to sit there and think about it long enough, it would still be those 3. Like it's just the like styles of music are different, but it's definitely something that I can see where the similarities are as far as like the sound and the tightness and lyrics or whatever it is and videos. And I remember when I was blown away as a kid, I understood this, blown away that Don Henley was the drummer and was singing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he's not. Mom's like, yes, he is. Like, I remember driving to the private school in Orville and she's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, he's not.
That's
She's
impossible.
like, yes, he is. Like,
Eric.
I've seen him live. Like,
I've been alive longer than you.
we didn't have Google then.
Yeah, no. So, all right. Let's do this. Is that what we're going to do is we're going to take a small break. And then when we come back, Mom has got some specific things that she wants to talk about is about the both of us, whether it is childhood stuff or whatever. So we're gonna take
apple juice here.
So we're gonna take a quick break and we will be right back. We will see you guys in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. All right, to do this next section, Mom, I had approached you about a week ago and said, hey, can you think of certain things about like us growing up and everything? And I think that the question that Lilith asked is probably one of the best ways to springboard, if you will,
All right, Lilith,
into the things that you've got, is that she asked this question. She says, hey, Mom, were they just like the naughtiest little shits ever? Like when they went all quiet, did you have to go look at what they were up to in a panic? Because they seemed like they were a handful. So what was like, I guess, I don't know, it's an odd question to ask, but I mean, what was it like raising us from your perspective? Or
What you looking at me for, Mom?
Oh, you know why I'm looking at you.
No, it could be of many reasons. Like, turn the cameras off.
Audio podcast from now on. Yeah,
No, just turn everything off.
So I guess how do you feel about that question? Like, you know, like if we went quiet, or like what was it like raising us as far as us being like troublemakers or anything like that? Like,
I can't believe how I'm going to answer this. If Eric was quiet, something was terribly wrong. If you were quiet, Kyle, you were having a febrile seizure.
oh God. Yeah, I did have those. Yeah.
You know, that's just Eric would he would try to get away with whatever he could. Do you remember hiding behind the curtains trying to swear?
Of course not, Mother.
No.
Shit.
And all I saw, I just heard it and I thought, where did he go? And all I could see was his little feet sticking out. And I pulled that curtain back and he looked up at me and he goes, it wasn't me.
I was the first Shaggy.
It wasn't me.
And actually, if Kyle was quiet, you were probably doing a puzzle or laying on the dog reading him books.
I'm so white.
Fucking nerd.
He was. Listen, if anybody remembers, well, the comedy routine when I said Kyle was every parent's wet dream.
Yeah.
I am not kidding. Okay, you know, in all reality, Kyle was born in the perfect environment. Like truly, though, you know, your dad and I, you know, we were a real family. We went to church. We had a real family dynamic, and it was the most normal setting. You know, you were the only one of all of you, I think, that had a fighting chance.
Oh my God.
It really be. Eric, I just
I'm
did
honored.
my best and hoped what I was doing was good, because I had no idea what I was doing with you.
Yeah, well, I'm fine. What is everybody so concerned about?
You're fine now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, they weren't bad kids, but they both had their things. There was so much age difference between you two.
Next question.
They didn't fight. They had nothing to fight about. There was nothing to fight about.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that is something that I do think about, is that we really didn't fight over shit like that, where it, you know, toys and things like that. Like I didn't care, because in all reality, I knew Kyle was like the careful kid. He could play with my video games. He could do these things. I trusted him because he took care of his shit. So there was kind of that aspect as well. But no, like, it's not the same as watching, you know, my girlfriend's two boys that are, you know, barely 3 years apart. Like, Jesus Christ, the one dude was literally about to pile drive the other one while he was playing Tony Hawk and had no idea he was coming up behind him. And I'm like, bro, you can't know. Like
There's a bro code. But
yeah, like, you can't do that. Like,
well, I think it's interesting because, I mean, I do remember, you know, specific times that, I mean, every kid has them when it's like, you know, like the setting fire to the carpet moment of like every kid has, you know, like, it's interesting because really the main thing that sticks out to me is the whole idea, like when we would be at Grandma Dora's house, and if one of us misbehaved, we had to sit on the top of the steps.
Yeah, the steps.
And it was just like, and I think I remember there was a time that Scott was sitting on the top of the steps. He was in timeout. And mind you, I think maybe we were like five or six or something. And we were all talking and Scott went to say something and I think that I went, Scott, you're in timeout. And Grandma was like, no, I'll allow it. What do you have to say? So it's just like we had the hammer dropped on us, I guess you could say, like for big things. But all in all, like our house was relatively normal. Like
I got to watch R-rated movies and boobies, dude.
Yeah, right.
Like, what do you mean? I had HBO and Skinamax in my room before they knew that was a problem.
I didn't discover that until I was at Aunt Heidi's. So
there's the final piece of the puzzle for everybody that's been wondering.
What's he doing? Becoming a man?
Facts.
But it's interesting because, like there's, I guess you could say like, like I had a big stint of like when I was in school that I wasn't doing homework or whatever. I was grounded a lot, but I was also like, that was kind of my teenage years. And like me being grounded and stuff, like it wasn't the same as, some guy like, or some kid going to a party and getting caught with alcohol. Like I never had any of those. I was a very boring kid. Like I came home and played guitar and then took up editing and all that stuff. Like I really didn't have time to, I guess you could say, misbehave, but I did have my moments, I guess, here and there.
I always knew where you were. I had to hope I knew where that one was.
Jesus fucking Christ. Like where do you think, like, it's a small town.
That's what's so shocking, Eric.
I was good at it.
Man, it's okay. So you said that you do have some specific things that you wanted to talk about. So what are some, I guess you could say, like almost like, I don't know, like maybe like megaton bomb moments where it was just like, okay, I cannot believe you just did this. And like now you have to process it like as a human being or whatever, like with some of the things that you've written down. Like I think the mud on the porch is probably one of them. But
dude,
yeah, that was.
Do you know when that happened? I could not believe it was happening because that was so out of character for you.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So when we lived on Sheldon and we had the little grape, we had the porch, It was pouring, raining. And Shane Pasterchak and them lived two doors up. Your cousin.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have a feeling it was one of those moments. I'm blaming Shane for this one because I have a feeling it was one of those moments where I think you probably heard, hey, you know what would be fun? And I went out to check on you guys because that is the one time Kyle was quiet. I will say that. And there they were, soaking wet, bare feet, painting the front of the house with mud, just going at it, right? And I'm like, what are you doing?
And we thought it was cool. We were like, oh, we can't wait to show them.
Cool. Totally
and
cool.
It was bad, yeah.
And so I was like, no. And I think I went up and I got Robin,
yes,
Shane's mom, because she's like, what are they doing? And I brought you two up and you were covered. And I'm like, look at them. So we had you guys get sponges and a bucket and to wipe it off.
In the rain?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh God, it's all coming back.
You're running. Okay, so yes, in the rain. Not as much rain, but
it got sunny at one point.
It did. So to make you guys learn a lesson, you had to clean it up. You had to clean it up.
In the fucking rain.
And you were enjoying it. You were like, oh my gosh, it's a nice. I came out and I said, this is not fun.
No, I remember exactly what happened, and what it was that they brought out this large ass bucket of water with suds on the top, and you, at this time, my perspective was Mom just came out with these sponges. She threw them into the bucket and went, get busy. And
I've heard that statement.
She goes inside. Robin is with Mom. And all I remember was we looked at the two sponges and one was red and one was blue. And I looked at Shane. I'm like, do you want the blue one? He's like, I kind of want the red one. I'm like, no, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm using the blue one. And from inside of the house, we heard, stop stop it. You're not supposed to be having fun.
That's right.
Clean up your mess.
Epic fail.
Oh God, it was just
fail everywhere.
I think you said years later that you guys were just inside, just cracking up.
We were. And Eric, you did the same thing with Alan.
What?
When you were like, you both were about 4 years old, and you guys, Aunt Gigi had, I can't see, Aunt Gigi had her apartment down there at the underpass, pouring rain, and we were like, oh, you guys can, play, go ahead. You were already out there, you were already wet.
Right.
And when you came to the door, you guys were covered head to toe. You look like little black boys. I'm serious. And I'm serious. You smiled. Alan was kind of like, huh. And not you, man. Your teeth just white as can be. Right there. And we just put you both in the tub and went and smoked a cigarette. What else could we do? Yeah. So actually, because that happened, and I'm like, God, there's Eric. And then you did it. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's a boy thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so, as far as like any other like big moments, like does anything else stand out to you as far as like, like we got in trouble or we did something in the house or like we destroyed something? Cause like nothing really like comes to my mind that I don't remember.
I've got a slew of them. What are you talking about?
I was boring. Like I didn't do anything.
You pushed him down the stairs. Down the basement. Don't say
Hey, he asked to do it again. In my defense.
Yeah, I think I did. I do remember that.
He pushed you down the stairs, and Randy yelled at me. Like, how the fuck is this my fault? I was folding laundry. What were you doing?
Because I'm your kid.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Remember?
I've heard that before.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll go into some questions here. So let's go into vacation mode.
Okay.
His DNZ, who's been on the live chats, he's also on Discord and everything. He wants to know. He said, "What was Mom's favorite family vacation that you went on when the boys were young?" Now, to be fair, we would take two types of vacations. We would go to Maine, where we would just get like a cottage and kind of just like relax and unwind.
Like hectic. I always used to say like hectic and then relaxing.
Oh,
right.
We would flip flop.
Right. It's because then the other one was going to Florida and like going to like Disney World or whatever. Like,
man, fuck that. Sorry to cut you off. You see how expensive that shit is now?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Never happening.
It makes me wonder how everything was done back then. Of course, I know there's like a whole difference of like,
sure,
like, inflation and, percentages and all that stuff.
Well, your father had a plan.
You're right. Yeah.
Always.
Oh, God, it took 12 months to figure out.
But anyways.
But we did it.
Yeah.
But, so I guess my question is that as far as like vacations are concerned, what is something that stands out to you, or like what do you remember from those vacations? Like, it doesn't even have to be like us could be being in trouble or anything like that. Like, what did you just enjoy about those?
Well, I learned quickly that I hate Florida. 9 million people in a square mile. But there were good things about that because we did the fun things. We did Universal.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, did you remember Twister?
That was so cool.
Yes.
Twister was so cool. But poor Kyle was only like 4 years old. And we were, the up and coming things were like the Terminator and those pools. The Back to the Future ride. Yep. And the Terminator thing scared him so badly because it was like in your face. It was that we had those glasses on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 3D thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And
God, did you get scared on every motherfucking ride that we went on?
I was a wuss.
He was 4. And he cried, and we came out of there. He was crying, and I said to Eric, I said, take your brother and go around the corner there and take him to the Barney show.
No,
we need to defuse this.
Hold on. Terminator wasn't the one; it was the Alien ride.
It was the Alien ride.
Okay.
And I remember because the moment that was the breaking point for me was when, if you guys haven't seen the ride, essentially you strap in like in Alien 3 when they're in the escape pods, and this center cylinder, like the creature effects were amazing looking back on it.
Terrifying.
But it was the idea that one of the dudes that was one of the actors, he essentially gets bitten and blood drops down on you. That was the moment that I was done. I needed to get out. And I remember when all the lights came up, I'm sobbing, and this pair of old ladies were behind us, and they saw me, and they're like, "Oh, honey, it's okay." And I'm like, "No, it's not. I almost died." I was like, it's so like, but then, yeah.
Well, the thing is that I know that it's easy to get confused because, she's trying to remember back, 20 years, but so am I. It all kind of went into it because it was that one. And then we're like, okay, that's going to be the only thing that fucks him up basically the whole time. No.
The Alien Adventure was the new thing at Disney.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that happened at Disney. And after that, we headed straight for the teacups.
Yes.
To kind of calm him down.
And then
Universal.
And then, right, I was saying, then we went to Universal, and then it was Terminator and Back to the Future that fucked you up again. I'm like, how is this happening? This is a fun ride.
See, what I remember from Terminator 2 is my memory is that I enjoyed it. The Back to the Future ride was the one that like completely set me over the edge, because it was the fact that again, looking back, it's incredible, but it was just the fact that the car is on this huge lift, and it would actually do all these crazy maneuvers and would do all that stuff, so it was crazy.
I know that the Terminator thing wasn't your deal until the actors started coming like in the aisles, and you realized, okay, like, I think you put it together a little bit.
This is fake.
Right. But it's still, I was just like, God damn, like every fucking ride we're on.
Well, it's now correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we get to see Terminator 2 on the opening weekend, and Arnie was actually there?
Well, it was like the grand opening, major month or weekend. Yes, right. We did. And I remember thinking the same thing that Randy did when we got closer. He don't mean like he wasn't big, but he's not tall. He was like, wow, he's not a very big guy. And that's also when I started learning that when you're shorter, essentially that's how you can bulk quicker because, your muscles are smaller in that aspect.
Right.
You can bulk like that. But yes, that is funny that you remember that, because I remember thinking that looks like the guy that plays the Terminator. And I think Randy thought the same thing. And the closer we got, we're like, wait. I think that is Arnold, it was, and that was the cool thing is I remember being there on, one of the vacations. We were there for a lot of the kind of grand openings or the newest things.
Yeah.
And that's what was crazy. The other thing that was crazy that didn't set you over the edge, which fucking floored me, was the goddamn crash test, whatever track cycle or in the car.
I have very distant fever dream memories of that.
You fucking loved it.
And I remember being like, I think that was the point that, because what I remember was
a goddamn convertible on a real track, but he couldn't handle motherfucking Back to the Future on a hydraulic.
It was, dude, what was weird was I remember sitting down, and there was this gentleman that was already sitting there that you had started talking to. And you're like, oh, this is my brother. This is my mom, my dad, whatever. And I remember I had not had a good day up to that point, and I finally was like, no, hold on, we're doing this. It's like, no, we're gonna have fun. And when I broke out of it, I was like, oh, okay, I think I get what this is supposed to be, because I didn't understand what a theme park even was.
Yeah, it took you fucking long enough.
Right. So it was just, it was insane. Like, especially, I was only 4. No, but it was just, man, like that. I think what's interesting is that Florida to me it's definitely good memories. Like we stayed at, really awesome, hotels. We got to, see wonderful things. We got to see stuff, like you said, like when it first came out, Maine was a whole different deal. And I think that what I loved about it so much is, as I've kind of thought back on it, was that it was so simple. That was
the point.
Yeah. It was, again, at that time I, had, the whole idea of Florida being in my mind. And then we went to Maine, and it was like, all right, cool, let's start a fire. All right, let's grill some steaks. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. Or, oh, we're gonna go to the pier. We're gonna do this today, or we're gonna go see a bunch of different things. Like, it was such a drastic change, and I think that really kind of in a way saved vacations for me. You know, it was interesting.
The older I get, the more I understand what Randy was doing, and the fact of you do want to do the things, right? Like you want to go on vacation and do the things, but like, do you always have to do the things? Now, while it wasn't the greatest quote vacations for maybe preteens, teenagers, and, kids your age all the time, as far as like what we could do and couldn't do, because technology wasn't the same.
Nope.
If there wasn't a TV in the cottage, you didn't get to watch motherfucking YouTube.
No,
like
not at all.
You didn't get to. So you had to either have a fire or you had to do other things.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, is like the older I get, the more I realize I understand what he was doing. It's smart because you want to go on vacation, but you want to relax. You don't want to come home from a vacation and need to take 2 more days off because you're fucking exhausted.
Do you remember how early in Florida it was when we had a condo, and we would come home from a day of either Epcot or Disney or wherever the hell we decided to go.
Yeah.
And we were in bed by 7:30.
Oh, we didn't want to do nothing.
We were exhausted.
Right.
Absolutely exhausted.
And then on top of that, again, not realizing as, adults, not only did we do all that, but then y'all had to drive home or wherever it was. That's why I mean, like, as an adult, it makes way more sense why that shit happens. As a kid, you don't get it.
Right.
You just think, what the fuck do I got to go see another lighthouse?
Yeah.
Because mom loves them. But it was one of those, how cool is that going to be as an adult? Like, I think of that now, I'm like, that's a fire ass vacation.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm going to go eat some great food. I'm going to watch it come in from where they just caught it.
Yes.
And I'm going to sit down in this great restaurant and see, the townspeople and, all this stuff. Like, that's a fucking vacation. That's like going to Ireland almost.
Like hang with the locals, go to a pub, check that stuff out. Yeah.
Like,
right.
I don't need to have a clown doing backflips while I'm riding a roller coaster all the time.
Right.
Like, that's where, like, as a kid, you think you need that. But as an adult, it's crazy to like see it through those eyes now.
Yeah.
And
do you
like
remember,
understand what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Do you remember I think it was the first time that we took you boys, because your dad and I had gone before, and we got a different cabin. It was a bigger cabin.
Yeah.
You had the upstairs bedroom. The TV got 2.3 channels and they sucked.
Right. I think then we get to watch like Jeopardy or something like that.
We watched something that was, and it wasn't worth it. And we rolled it back. It was literally like the TV at the end of Poltergeist where he rolled it out. Right. But what we had every night, and we had a ball, was we lit a fire. We watched the fog roll up the street.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Which I thought Stephen King was coming to my door.
And we had like the like lake thing behind us too, where it would come in, and I remember it was Randy that was kind of like, are we gonna die? I'm like, this is sweet. Like,
but we played board games every night and before bed, and we had a ball.
Heidi went with us that time.
Yes, she did.
Did she?
Yeah, that's the one where I almost died because Kyle Booth went with us. And
Kyle Booth. Oh my God. Yeah.
So that's where I had to get basically. And Heidi had to give me stitches, but not stitches because it was bad when I got sucked in by that wave.
Yeah, so you almost died.
Oh God, you pissed me off so bad.
Found out, because you had to leave the goddamn lighthouse.
I was shopping.
I know, but then we found out like later that night we ended up going to a restaurant, and I was all bandaged up, and I'm on crutches, and the waitress comes over and she goes, "Can I take her?" She goes, "Wave get you." Like, cut her whole. She's like, "Wave get you," and I was like, "How'd this bitch know?" And come to find out, where we went, that was like a major spot that people would just get taken and never seen again.
Do you remember?
I remember her telling us that there was a party of 10.
A wedding.
Well, no, there was two. There was two things. It was a party of 10, and they were taking a group photo. A wave came up, took 6 of them, never seen them again.
Gone.
What the fuck?
Gone.
Then there was a wedding, and they were taking pictures for like the bride and groom. Took the groom right then.
No.
Uh-huh.
Gone.
What?
Dude, apparently me and Kyle Booth were fucking around in the wrong spot.
The only reason
we like went down, motherfucker. When we went down, like in the shit, like where the act, like you could like hit the water, not like up on the pier where like they were getting sucked from. We were in it. Like a fucking idiot. We didn't know. There was no sign.
We're from Ohio.
Yeah. There's cows here.
Corn.
It was, well, your foot got stuck.
Yes.
Between two rocks, and
that's
the only
what
thing
saved you.
That's the only thing that saved you.
I remember when I was sliding underneath like the water, and I remember I was like, find your foot, like just hit something. And I remember I got up and I was so fucking pissed because it was one of my brand new pair of shoes that I spent a lot of money on even back then. And I remember Kyle Booth being like, because I came up and I was like, oh, and because he was trying to take a picture of me, and he kept fucking with me and saying, hey, dude, a wave's coming. And I would turn around. He did like 4 times. And I was like, take the goddamn photo.
Yeah.
And he went, hey, man, a wave's coming. I was like, fuck you, dude, take the photo. And I'm 6 foot by this time almost. And I remember a wave coming over my head. And I'm like, this isn't good. I had time to think. And it hit me and pulled me back. And when I got up, I'm soaking wet. And I was like, take the fucking photo. And
Did he ever take that picture?
Yeah, he did.
God.
Okay, wasn't it the picture you were like this or whatever? You were like soaked?
No, that was before.
Oh,
that was right before.
Okay.
But I remember he took the photo. I don't know where it's at. Maybe it didn't come out. And I remember I looked down and my fucking sock was completely red. And all I had was water and blood and my brand new socks and my brand new shoes.
Poor baby.
Yeah, dude. You know how much those cost me? You didn't pay for them at that time because that was when I was getting mad money for birthday money. When I had my birthday right before school, so I got a lot of money. But I remember I was so fucking mad. And then what did my dumb ass do? I ran. So every time I took a step and pumped harder, blood just coming out because it was right across my kneecap. And I just remember Kyle Booth being like, he needs help. He's running in. And there comes Aunt Heidi, and she's looking at it, and she's like, ooh. You could like see like the fat and like, or not the fat, but like the like bone and stuff, like, right, because it's just your knee. Like
she bought Band-Aids
and she cut them, and she made like makeshift butterfly stitches.
Oh shit!
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she just strapped me real good with the bandage, and then gave me we got crutches, and that's when the lady that night was like, "Wave get you?" I was like, "This bitch."
Yeah.
It's just, man, what sticks out to me from that was, and I don't know if this is real or if this is like a fever dream or whatever, but I remember Kyle Booth turning his hat sideways and doing like this and being like, I'm Pirate Pete from Pimlico Point. He did
that. He did that. He 100% did.
Yeah,
100%.
Dude, it's, oh my God. I remember like Kyle Booth was one of the coolest people to go on vacation with, where it was fun. Like, just because, wasn't there a moment that he almost thought he lost a CD out of the car? Where like we were like driving down the highway to come home, and he was like flipping through stuff, and I remember hearing him go, whoops. and everybody was like, what? He's like, I think I just lost a CD, because he was like going through all of them to pick something to listen to. We didn't have, an MP3 player or whatever. He had the big booklet of, that zipped up that, you kept all your stuff in.
Love
like
that.
It's just, oh man, vacations were definitely one of the coolest things I think that we got to do. But I think that, even like doing stuff like, we did Judgment House, we did, we went to church, or like we had the family that would visit every year that would come up to Ohio, and like we would meet up at, so-and-so's house and, get to see people.
The cousins from hell. The cousins always called them from Chicago.
It's man, like
your dad's nose. They drank so much. Dude, he tried to keep up with them. They drank so much. Your dad's nose started to bleed.
Oh my.
I remember that story, and he was puking behind a dumpster.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. Oh, he kept up, but man, it came at a cost.
We closed Froggy's in Portage Lake.
You closed it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I drank all the gin they had.
Gross.
All right. Let's do this. Is that we're going to semi wrap it up, but
coming up on like 30 minutes.
somebody actually asked a really good question for you. And again, guys, we're not going to get to all the questions with Mom. If we have her on again, we can do another time that we can, have maybe like a whole section dedicated to that. But I hope I'm saying this right. Sander Furvik says, "Hey, Riker Road Mom, I wanted to know your opinion on NF's song Mama. They said that you listened to it, and I guess I kind of want to review from a mother's perspective, because the way that, because I ended up telling you about it before we reacted to it, was like, Mom said that she had listened to it, and I think that the way that you worded it was, it didn't hit you emotionally until the song was done. Like that was kind of your moment or whatever. But I mean, just really, like, what did you think about that song, Mama?
Oh, I took it all in, and when it was over, I realized what had just happened.
Yeah.
For me. Nate is such a, he's such a wonderful soul. Sharing his heart with us the way he does, whether it hurts, whether it's, just fun or whatever it is. And it took me a little bit to realize that he had forgiven his mother, and he hoped she was just okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what more could anyone want? And the fact that he could come to that point, and as a mom, it just made me, you want your kids to think of you that way, I guess,
Yeah.
when I'm gone, there's just going to be a lot of yarn and, fireball left over for you people to divvy up. So, but whether your mom has been troubled through her life, and I have done that. I've had my moments that weren't great, and it affected you both in different ways. And there was a long time Eric didn't even want to be around me.
Well,
but that was just because of what I was going through, and
sure.
I just wasn't able. But
right.
Well, I mean, there was things that ended up happening, within a couple of years that it was like, oh, okay, and being a little bit older, even at that time, I was like, oh. Now I get it a little bit. So it was just I didn't know how to take it. So that was the thing.
And,
same.
And I knew that. I knew that I couldn't be mad at you about that, because there was no way you could understand at the moment. But I think Nate did what he had to do to have that, I don't want to say closure, but just finally feel that close to his mother.
Of course.
And I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I really did. I get excited when I see, see something, when you guys wrapped all that up, and I was like, damn, I think we're done here. And
yeah. Oh, you talking about like the whole album?
Yeah. Because I realized after the last one, I was like, oh hell, that is the last one.
Yep.
But I was so glad I got to go through that with you.
We actually had a few people, buddy from work, Jarrett included, but there was, I forget who it was offhand, but they didn't supposedly listen to the album, and I know Jarrett didn't. They waited for us to put the songs out to do it with us, and I'm like, fuck that.
I would not have done that.
No, hell no. I don't care how much I like a channel. I'm not waiting.
Wow.
You didn't even do that. You listened to the whole shit. Like,
Right.
She's like, I'm fucking listening to that.
I got shit to do.
I think that's what, honestly, because we've done an entire podcast on NF, so I'm not going to go super deep, but I mean, that's something that, again, from your perspective, is so interesting, because I know, just like you were talking about, the times that, like you and Eric didn't get along or whatever. Like, Eric and I have that history of that too, where it's like guys, I hate to burst your bubble, but we're not the perfect family. We have problems. We've had trauma. Yeah, I know. Oh, blow off the lid, so, but no, like, it's just, to me, I think that there's this, there's this normality that really gets lost, where it's like people think that a dysfunctional family that is, just grasping at straws is the normal thing, where it's like, I fight with my mom and my dad every single day and we're screaming at each other, but I love them. And it's like, well, sure. But in the same hand is that it's like, why do you have to scream? Why do you have to do these things? Why do you have to, be at odds at all times or whatever? Like,
buddy, we were both there for a while, and that's what's crazy.
Yeah, to me, I think that what's interesting is that the one thing that has blown me away the most with having you on is that people have said it about the two of us or whatever, but they're like, man, like just the relationship that you have with your mom, like I wish I had that. And it's so foreign to me.
It wasn't always like that though. Like there was a real point where it did happen, like in the movies or whatever, where it just became, she wasn't my mom anymore. Mm-hmm. And I could say fuck, and I could say that, like, you know what I mean? Like it was like the fact that she kind of let it go. Mm-hmm. And I just had this moment of where I was like, okay, I can talk freely basically, or whatever it is. And she's just always kind of, I guess, maybe followed suit. Mm-hmm. Now, when we were younger, she had to like kind of put the hammer down, like you have to have that. Like I try to still do now with my kids and my stepkids, where it's like strict but fair. Yeah. Right. I got to watch a lot of cool stuff. I got to do a lot of that, but I couldn't listen to my gangster rap and I couldn't swear. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I know that sounds dumb, but it was like, I could watch the R-rated movies and the new horror flick and Leprechaun and all that shit. Like It didn't matter. But when it came to certain things, like I said, that was our era where it was like, music is bad. It's the devil. So of course that's what she did, because she was a good mom. Yeah. Like that's just how it went. But there was still this time where in my life, and I know it happened with you too, and it happened with Devin. Devin was he's a weird, anyways. But
Devin.
No, we love him.
You have this like moment where it's like, they're not your parent anymore. You are the friend. You are they just happen to have known you literally all of your life. Right. And know how you tick. So it's crazy the fact that like how it all transitions, and like mom and I are not that much different in age when you really think about it. We kind of fall in almost the same categories as far as like genres or something for a little while. Right. And I think that's what molded us as well. But mom was not like, our household wasn't like people think. Like, yeah, we didn't have the perfect family, but we kind of did have the perfect family.
We had the white picket fence. We had the front yard. We had,
but mom and I didn't always have that when me and her were young. Right. She didn't, like, I want to say she worked for it, but she worked for it. Like there was a time where like, I remember when she had to turn the stove on and put my bed in the kitchen because she didn't have any heat. Mm.
I'd dress you in front of the.
She didn't ask grandma that was very, very, very well off, and like she had a perfect environment to like mooch off of somebody that made something for herself, which was our grandmother, and she didn't. Right. Grandma did what she needed to do and stepped in when she needed, but mom was always like, even when she became a house mom and didn't work anymore, I knew what I saw all of my life, what my mom did. My mom was just, in a position to where she could be a stay-at-home mom. Right. Like your dad did very well, even at a young age, and it provided that. And he wanted her to be that. Why wouldn't you? Right. Because she was a good mom.
And that's what Kyle got.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Kyle got that part.
I'm just blessed by association, I guess.
He's just happy to be here.
Yeah.
Well, and when you say that, when you finally get to that point to where it's just like, okay, I can let my hair down. It was the same for me.
Sure.
I could be more myself in front of you and around you. And, we're not perfect people, and we don't pretend to be.
No.
Just watch any Riker Road video.
With or without you. Like, I mean, it's you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I keep telling Eric to edit me more and he won't.
Nah.
But I think that's just what makes us us. We accept each other for who we are. We love, that's who made us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you two are Riker Road. And 110,000 people are not wrong.
It's just, it's insane.
I'm sorry. I saw that coming way before you did.
Yeah.
Well,
Me and Joe.
Yeah.
Me and Joe.
I wanted to end this podcast on this story. Now, again, when I'm done telling the story, the podcast isn't over. I still want your guys' interaction on it. But there is a very special moment with you that has not left me. That even wasn't towards me. It was towards somebody that I'm very close to this day. I'm not going to divulge their name, but for reasons you'll understand, was that we were living in the duplex. And I remember that night, this friend got a hold of me and was just having a very, very bad week and a very bad, night to boot on top of everything else. And I was working retail at that point, and I told them, all right, we'll come up to the house at like 8:00 or whatever. If you want to go up there earlier, like mom is there, it's like, you can hang out, do your thing. I'll be up there soon. And then we can decide what we're going to do for the rest of the night. And I got home, saw them sitting in the living room, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to step outside and have a cigarette. And he came with me. And I remember standing underneath of the pine tree that we had. That was kind of our designated like smoking spot.
Oh yeah, I remember that tree.
And we both lit up our cigarettes. We're kind of talking, and I saw him open up his jacket, and he pulled out a bottle of Jaeger. And he twisted off the top and just took a few gulps and closed it up and put it back. And I went, dude, what's going on? And he was like, I don't know. He's like, I bought it. I wanted it. And he's like, I didn't think all this through. And I'm like, dude, you can't drive home. If you've already been drinking on that thing and, you've been, in this state, I don't know how much you've had. I'm like, me morally, I cannot let you leave this house. And he was just like, no, I can't do that, man. I can't stay here. He's like, I'll figure something out. And I'm like, no, man, it's fine. Like, well, I'll just tell mom that you're crashing here for the night or whatever. And you came out, you asked for a cigarette, and you looked at him and said, what's in your jacket? And he tensed up and he got really, really scared. And he was like, nothing, just my cigarettes. And she went, take it out. And he just opened it up, took out the bottle and set it down. And you picked it up, you looked at it and went, all right, yep, you're staying here. And she gave it back.
Well, the damage is done.
And it was just like, dude, like it was.
What's he going to do? Puke? Like,
right.
Like that's it.
That was the moment that I realized as an adult with somebody that was close to me that, wasn't a part of our immediate, 150 or however you want to say it. You just opened your arms to him and you didn't judge him. You didn't say like, what are you doing drinking in my house? It was what do you have? Okay. I know what you have now. I know what needs to happen. Pull out the bed in the basement. That's where you're staying.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's crazy. Like you have always had that mentality of, like whenever I've had friends that have made some really big mistakes, like the person that I had to go pick up in Cleveland, with the whole thing that was happening there. And we pulled into the driveway, and this person had fought addiction and, was kind of on a stint or like was, in a bad place. And the first thing that you did was that you ran out into the driveway and you hugged them and said, are you okay? And they said, yeah. And then you smacked him on the shoulder and went, good. Don't ever do that shit again. And it's just like
he was gonna walk home.
Yeah. It was to me, you have such a loving mentality in how you approach people and how you just the proof is in the pudding. It's always been there. And I think that as time progressed and, your personality changed, life changed, we changed, all that stuff. It's just, It's something that I've said it many times before, and it's just like, nah, dude, like we do legit have the coolest mom on the planet. Like it just is what it is. Like it's, your set of rules when friends would come over, you're like, you know where the bathroom's at, you know where the kitchen's at. I'm not helping you. Go. Like it just, so it's like,
unless you're going to tip your waitress, don't bother me.
yeah.
Pretty much.
It's just, we really got to grow up. And I think in one of the most unique ways of just like, from the fact that it's like, we do have different fathers. We were, born at very different times. We got to experience the 90s. We got to experience the 2000s. We got to, experience everything that life can throw at us. And really the dynamic has never changed. And that's just been the coolest part of it to me. It's just been really wild.
You know what I think instilled that the most in me is when Eric was, maybe 17, 18, and you were hanging out with your best friend, and I knew where you were and I knew what you were doing. And, at some point in time, moms, if any moms are hearing this or care at this point, but, you have to pick your battles.
Oh, yeah.
I could have pitched a fit about everything you did, Eric, every single damn thing you did. But that solves nothing.
Right.
And so chasing you around, seeing what you were doing and dragging you home or whatever. First of all, I didn't have the energy to do that.
You always said, don't call me from the police station. Don't waste your call on me.
Yeah. You'll be staying. And what was my rule with you?
Which one?
Okay. If you're smoking, if you're drinking, all I ask of you is that.
If you're going to be smart, or if you're going to be dumb, be smart about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Be dumb, be smart. Yeah. I don't want you don't leave where you are.
Is basically what I always took that as, is that if you're going to be getting fucked up, no matter how it was, as long as it's not like fucking heroin,
right?
And even at that, I knew that it was stay where you're at. And that was pretty much the simplest rule I could ever follow.
Right.
And the best friend that she was talking about also, Jake's mom was the same way. She was she was mom, but like the way more lax version. Now I also saw the difference where it was like, oh, Jake kind of did, but he also still respected a lot of the boundaries.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, was when we did things, for the most part, we stayed where we were at. But that was the thing, was mom, like I said, at a certain age, I kind of figured she knew, but she just trusted me.
Yeah.
And kind of dumb on her part, but here I am. So
I looked at it this way.
But she did choose her battles.
No matter what you were doing, at least I knew where you were.
Right.
Right.
Because I gave her that where I'm like, I'm here.
Yep.
Lock the door.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
So hell, even when I was an adult, when I moved back at 30, I remember I had one buddy that was like, oh, you checking in with your mom? I'm like, no, I'm telling her she can lock the door because I'm getting fucked up with you.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
where's your
it's 2
mother?
in the morning. I live there right now. She just doesn't want to lock the door and hear somebody come in at 3.
Well, to me, I think that it's like, because I've had that conversation happen before on that negative side, but I also when I was with another group of friends and I would say, hey, I just need to let my parents know what's going on, even though I was 22. And I remember trying to explain myself, and it was one of my friends' wives that said it. She was like, "No, you're being respectful. You're
correct.
You live with them. You're letting them know what's going on. You're not they're not wondering if you're dead in a ditch or
you're
whatever."
Not asking permission.
Right.
You're being like, "Yo,
It's just our relationship with you is something that I think that I'm very honored to be able to share that with the internet, and the fact that as they've embraced us, they have embraced you, and it's awesome. I know we're going to do way more in the future that we'll be able to have you on again and talk about some specific things.
We're going to have to wrap this up, man.
Yep.
We're pushing an hour now.
Yep.
Wow.
But, because we've got ideas down the road to be able to do, I'm not going to say what specific ideas are, but to be able to have you on, to be able to do this again and maybe have a topic that we can focus on and do some different things. Yeah. But either way, guys, if you have made it this far into the podcast, genuinely thank you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you being here. And man, this was cool. This was a fun night to be able to try some stuff out and to just kind of, spread our wings a little bit. So usually I give this to Eric, but Mom, is there anything that you would like to say to the people?
Thank you, Eric.
Is there anything that you would like the audience to know, and just give them a proper goodbye as we close everything out?
What I want the audience to know is that I love and appreciate all of you for supporting my boys and for being so kind and thoughtful to me. I don't know why I'm interesting, but I don't think I'm interesting. I just make meatloaf and, clean houses.
Joe Ciccone actually said, he's like, I still haven't gotten my meatloaf yet.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, I'll find you. I think I want to find Joe. But anyway, no, I appreciate all of you for just being just so wonderful to all of us as a family. Yeah. So we love you. And you know what they say, crowbar's up.
All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Adios.